Chapter 22. Thus saith the Lord, Go down to the house of the king of Judah, and speak there this word. And say, Hear the word of the Lord, O king of Judah, that sittest upon the throne of David, thou and thy servants and thy people that enter in by these gates. Thus saith the Lord, Execute ye judgment and righteousness, and deliver the spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, and do no wrong. Do no violence to the stranger, the fatherless, nor the widow, neither shed innocent blood in his place. For if ye do this thing indeed, then shall there enter in by the gates of this house kings sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, he and his servants and his people. But if you will not hear these words, I swear by myself, saith the Lord, that this house shall become a desolation. For thus saith the Lord unto the king's house of Judah, Thou art Gilead unto me, and the head of Lebanon. Yet surely I will make thee a wilderness, and cities which are not inhabited. And I will prepare destroyers against thee, every one with his weapons, and they shall cut down thy choice cedars, and cast them into the fire. And many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say, every man to his neighbor, Wherefore hath the Lord done thus unto this great city? Then they shall answer, Because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord their God, and worshipped other gods, and served them. Weep ye not for the dead, neither bemoan him, but weep sore for him that goeth away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country. For thus saith the Lord touching Shallum, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, which reigned instead of Josiah his father, which went forth out of this place. He shall not return thither any more, but he shall die in the place whither they have led him captive, and shall see this land no more. Woe unto him that buildeth his house by unrighteousness, and his chambers by wrong, that useth his neighbour's service without wages, and giveth him not for his work. Thus saith, I will build me a wide house and large chambers, and cutteth him out windows, and it is sealed with cedar, and painted with vermilion. Shalt thou reign, because thou closest thyself in cedar? Did not thy father eat and drink and do judgment and justice, and then it was well with him? He judged the cause of the poor and needy, then it was well with him. Was not this to know me, saith the Lord? But thine eyes and thine heart are not but for thy covetousness, and for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. Therefore thus saith the Lord concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, my brother, or Ah, sister. They shall not lament for him, saying, Ah, Lord, or Ah, his glory. He shall be buried with the burial of an ass, drawn and cast forth beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry. Lift up thy voice in Bashan, and cry from the passages, for all thy lovers are destroyed. I spake unto thee in thy prosperity, but thou saidst, I will not hear. This hath been thy manner from thy youth, that thou obeyest not my voice. The wind shall eat up all thy pastors, and thy lovers shall go into captivity. Surely then shalt thou be ashamed and confounded for all thy wickedness. O inhabitant of Lebanon, that makest thy nest in the cedars, how gracious shalt thou be when pangs come upon thee. The pain is of a woman in travail. As I live, saith the Lord, though Coniah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet upon my right hand, yet would I pluck thee thence. And I will give thee into the hand of them that seek thy life, and into the hand of them whose face thou fearest, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. And I will cast thee out, and thy mother that bare thee, into another country, where ye were not born, and there shall ye die. But to the land whereunto thou desirest to return, thither shall they not return. Is this man Coniah a despised broken idol? Is he a vessel wherein is no pleasure? Wherefore are they cast out, he and his seed, and are cast into a land which they know not? O earth, 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 hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, Write ye this man childless, a man that shall not prosper in his days, for no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David, and ruling any more in Judah. Jeremiah here in verses 10 through 30 lists a bunch of very specific condemnations of Judah's leaders, just one after the other. All kinds of things that these people were guilty of, hadn't done, just pure covetousness, unjust, persecuting the poor, taking advantage of the righteous, taking advantage of their position, their power, their authority for their own good. And basically, in verse 10 says to not weep for the dead. Now what you need to understand here is that he's not saying don't feel bad for people who die. What he's saying is, in this particular case, he's referring to Josiah, who was the king who had gone to Megiddo, which is also known as Armageddon, in a battle with the Egyptians and lost. He was wounded there and he died. But we're sort of worried for, weep for Shallum, who is his son, Josiah's son, who was captured by the Egyptians, taken to Egypt, and would die there. Now, rather than weep for the lost people, the Lord figured that he needed them to get a lesson. And the lesson was that his most loved people, who were the tribe of Judah, had suffered or would suffer tragedy because of their insistence on continually sinning and worshiping false idols. Idols, I guess, because false idols is sort of a redundant thing. Idols, worshiping idols. And that instead of mourning for the lost people, they should mourn for the coming destruction and repent of the evil. There wouldn't be anything they could do to change what was going to happen to the nation of Judah or the city of Jerusalem. But if they repented sufficiently as individuals, they could have a great impact on what happened to them as individuals. And this is the one thing that people, time after time after time, they'll go along with whatever the great crowd says. And if the great crowd is sinning, they'll sin. It doesn't get you anywhere. Now, in verse 19, it says an ass's burial. An ass was an animal that they would use for plowing, for hauling stuff. An ass's burial means to be left where you fell. They never buried them. If they were out in the field and they dropped, they just left them there. Their bones would be picked clean by some birds and other animals. And basically, that was it. The words Lebanon and Bashan are specific areas. We know that Lebanon was the northern part, north of Israel, and the cedars of Lebanon were there, and Bashan was a geographical area to the east, northeast of most of Israel. And although they were specific areas, they're used here as referring to the sort of the direction through which Judah would go on as captive on their way to Babylon. In verse 22, it talks about just as a hot wind. I mean, this was a hot desert area, and a hot wind coming out of the desert would just kill the grass, just like a frost would kill the grass, or the temperatures, boom. And within 2 days, you go from having green grass to having brown grass. It could just take the moisture out of it that fast. And it says that just like the dry, hot wind could kill the pasture, okay, so would the heat of the battle of Babylon, the hot hate of the battle of Babylon, destroy the shepherds and leaders of Judah. Just take them out right now. Nebuchadnezzar had no pain. You fought Nebuchadnezzar, he killed you. That was it. And it was part of the terror campaign that they had to wipe everybody out. The cedars of Lebanon were absolutely magnificent trees. And here Jeremiah compared the leaders who thought of themselves as being so great and wonderful and magnificent, and basically said, just think about how magnificent you're going to be when Nebuchadnezzar's outside the gates of the city and they're pounding down the walls. Just think of how high and mighty you're going to be. Oh. In the last few verses, Coniah, who is the king's son, is told by Jeremiah that as far as God's concerned, that even though Coniah thinks of himself as being a jewel and righteous and powerful and all the rest of it, that God considers him to be worth nothing. Even if he was God's only possession, a signet ring, God would take it off and give it to the destroyers, and Coniah is headed for trouble.